A Blessed Gift, Story 8, Faith, Friendship, and 50 by Nancy Teo, Josephine Ng, and Irene Chan. We were from the graduating class of 1985 in CHIJ St. Nicholas Girls' School, brought together by our Catholic faith. Looking back, it is really amazing how we even got together. First of all, we were from 3 different primary schools. Secondly, in all our 4 years of secondary school life, we never once shared the same class or extracurricular activity. And lastly, even our personalities and interests were entirely different. Yet, the fact that our loving friendship, the starting point of which was a retreat during our secondary 4-year, still remains as it was, even after so many years and changes in our lives, proves how timeless and strong it is. Without a shadow of a doubt, this can only be a divine intervention from God. Although we were very different in so many aspects of our lives, we nevertheless faced similar challenges as teenagers searching for our own identities, while struggling to cope with the demands of a growing up with complex backgrounds. It had never occurred to us then that our reward for the trials and tribulations that we went through as teenagers would be this special and precious friendship that would bind us together, even continuing into our adult lives, and hopefully for the rest of our lives. Thinking back to those days, as with most teenagers today, growing up for us at 16 meant being confronted with many issues like personal relationships, external appearances, our future, and our interests. Apart from our own personal struggles, there were also the expectations from family, school, and society that brought on additional stresses. During that retreat, quite coincidentally, we discovered we did share something in common. Each one of us was the youngest child in her family, and from this similar vantage point, we were struggling to find our own voices within families that mostly disregarded what we thought or how we felt. Moreover, apart from having to mug up for our O-levels, we were also standing at the crossroads of our lives, wondering what was in store for us after St. Nick's. And so, the growing up process for us involved, on the one hand, enduring the raging hormones intent on transforming us from girls to women, while on the other hand, striving to find the meaning of life through the chaos. Just at this juncture of our internal turmoil, 2 Redemptorist priests, Father Simon Pereira and the late Father William Heng, came to St. Nick's to give a school mission retreat for the Catholic students in secondary 3 and 4. Their wonderful work helped to sow the seeds of faith in our hearts and enabled us to encounter the Lord, bring those seeds to new life. Because we received this Catholic faith formation, the school became for us a place of comfort, and our friendship gave us a sense of acceptance. The Catholic mission in school was central to our growth in faith, providing an anchor to moor us to the Lord's side, giving us stability in our growing up years. We really offer our gratitude to those 2 priests. Because of our Catholic faith, the Church provided a platform for our learning and communication, giving us the opportunity to make and interact with new, authentic friends, and also to find solace for our souls. In those few days of the school mission retreat, we learned to release our negative emotions and began to recognize that we were God's beloved children, chosen to be his instruments to carry out his work. After the retreat, we initiated activities in our small Catholic community in school and were also active in the youth group at Novena Church. For the first time in our lives, we experienced how the Catholic faith was practiced within a community. In the process, our faith grew as we learned to place Jesus at the center of our lives. As part of the school-based mission in those days of our youth, we reached out to our peers to provide them with much-needed support. And this experience kindled in us a passion to serve others in the future. Later on, however, due to so many factors, we lost touch with one another for 30 years. Some 30 years later, when we were finally reunited, we discovered that we were all doing our part to uplift lives in different segments of society. Our hearts were still aglow with the embers of God's everlasting light, as He eventually led us into our chosen professions. 35 years after graduating from Secondary 4, Nancy is now an educator teaching in a primary school. Josephine is a social entrepreneur, enthusiastically helping the less fortunate on the margins of society. And Irene is an hospital administrator, serving those who are suffering in body and spirit. We still abide by the promise we made to God so many years ago. We are still His instruments. God's gift of faith has accompanied us into middle age, enabling us to give testimony to how good God is all the time. He is with us always as a caring father and an intimate friend, accompanying us through the dark valleys and the victorious peaks of our lives. Even though our faith journeys have followed different trajectories, God is always waiting with outstretched arms to welcome us home, no matter where we have wandered. God's mercy is most real, especially when it is we who are the recipients of His unconditional love. While writing this testimony and reflecting on our friendship, we can see that this friendship that has withstood the test of time is truly the most precious blessing from the Lord to the three of us, and is also a testimony to our faith in God. The book of Proverbs says, "A man of many companions may come to ruin, but there is a friend who sticks closer than a brother." As for the three of us, we know we have each other and Jesus too. Now that we have passed the half-century mark and have been through the ups and downs of life, these are our current favorite verses from the Bible. For Nancy, it is, "The Lord is my shepherd, I lack nothing." Life has always been a struggle for me in all the different stages of my life. In the many times I have been lost in dark tunnels, God has led me out each time. And I have almost always emerged stronger than before. Even when I came out beaten and bruised, I have always been able to find comfort in His love and protection. In those times when I wandered far away from Him, He was always waiting there, watching me from a distance, just like a shepherd, trusting that I would turn back because of His great love for me. Over the years, I have also learned to place my trust in Him, following Him as He leads the way, especially when the path ahead is unclear. Just like the sheep, I will follow my shepherd, trusting that He will take care of me by leading me out of any danger and granting me rest. Whenever my friends express their admiration for my courage and strength in facing life's adversities, I always tell them, it is because my shepherd never leaves me. For Josephine, Look at the birds of the air. They do not sow or reap or store away in barns, and yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not much more valuable than they? Whenever I go through uncertainties in life, this verse gives me strength. God always takes care of us, so we should not be afraid. On my social enterprise journey, when financial issues or work-related obstacles become too challenging, and they have many times, I will reflect on this verse, draw strength from it, and surrender my fears to the Lord. Very often, the issues would be resolved by themselves. The important thing is to trust the Lord in all things, and He will take care of everything. For Irene, but be glad and rejoice forever in what I will create. For I will create Jerusalem to be a delight, and its people a joy. When I turned 50, the first reading for that day's Mass readings was from the book of Isaiah. This was God's birthday gift to me, assuring me that the fruit of my abidance in the Lord will be the newly created heavens and earth that are filled with gladness, joy, and abundance. Life is meant to be lived with confidence and purpose. The greatest purpose is to build God's kingdom on earth through our everyday acts of love and choosing to follow Jesus, the Good Shepherd.